To get to the system settings, press the exam key, then press down the menu. It starts on the general screen where you can enter facility name, choose various things. What happens when you press the freeze key? Do you want it a cine loop or go straight to measurements, arrow, distance, annotations, trackball sensitivity, date format, setting for the date and time. Monitor type, if you're in the United States, leave it at TV NTSC. Go ahead and click apply. Caps lock is on automatically. Clear annotations on unfreeze. Notice that my annotations disappeared when I unfroze. I can turn that on and leave them on, or turn it off to clear them, or turn it on to clear them, turn it off to leave them on screen. Guide type, autofocal zone. So your display here, going to the next one. Color of the region interest box, your standard display format for Doppler. You want a screensaver, how long you want it to wait, and the annotation font size. Storage. For the default storage medium, do you want it to go AVI, bitmap, JPEG, TIFF? One key store is so when you hit the save key, it automatically goes to the hard drive. If you have it off, it's going to ask you to name the file, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. Store frame amount. This is what will make your cine loops shorter. You can choose 100 frames or 1,000 frames. Note that when you're doing something with a high frame rate, it's going to be fewer seconds. In future versions, it will allow you to save by the heartbeat. Print and store, do you want it just to be the image and results area, just the image, or the full screen? Key configuration, what do you want the save key to do? Send it directly to USB, DICOM print. When you hit save cine, do you want it just to go there? Or do you also want it to go to USB or DICOM? Now these user 1 and user 2 refer to these two buttons up here. If you want it to do something else and use those occasionally for different types of saving or sending or printing, you can set those there. Peripherals. Peripheral, this is where you're going to set up your network settings, not your DICOM settings, but in order to go to DICOM, this is where you're going to have the machine identified on the network. This is not something we can support at Providian because all the information that you need is on your end, and we cannot give you any of this information. You need to talk to your network administrator or IT professional who will give you this proper information. They'll let you know if you need to use DHCP or a static IP address, and they'll give you a list with all this information. 90% of the problems that people call in are all done on their end. If the machine does not work on your network, it's usually because your IP address is incorrect, and if your DICOM is being sent across, you don't have the correct AE title. And also, you need to check with your network administrator and make sure there's not a firewall. This is an extremely common problem where people think the firewall is down and it's letting the system in, but it has to be set up by your network administrator if you have a firewall. Otherwise, it's going to reject this system and not allow you. Sometimes the firewall will allow you to ping through it, so if they give you an address where you can ping the server, it might say that it's pinged and that it is connected. And if that's the case, typically it's a firewall. I've got the advanced settings show up here. I can click on that, make it go away. But the speed is basically your network, but typically you're not going to use those. And here is where you would add your printer or do any of the printer stuff. Here are your measurements and how you want them set up. Formulas, how you want those set up. These are all for OB here. Report. You can create your own logo on a USB stick. If you want to go add your own logo, just click Operation Logo and select it from there. Titles on the report, you want to put your own name in there, and what do you want to display on your report. DICOM, this is where you're going to set up your DICOM network. Again, this is not something that we can support. Your IT professional, PACS administrator, network administrator would have all this information for work list, and it's all stuff that you would have to have on your end of your business. We won't have these numbers because they are completely assigned by your network administrator and your router. Make sure your DICOM AE title is correct. This is something that is often written incorrectly, and it won't let you store, and the machine will fail. Down here you can say, do you want it to send to the DICOM network after every image stored, which will slow down your system, or at the end of the exam, do you want to send it via DICOM? You can also do it manually from the export screen that we saw earlier. Default, if you made all these changes and you don't like them, or you're moving the machine someplace else and it's a new user, you can load default and go back to the factory settings. About, this is where if you have a software upgrade coming and you need to update the system, The information that you're going to want is in the software version, kernel version, and control number. These three things here. And when you call the office, they'll know what it is that you're looking for, and they can take you to this screen. It's very simple. You're just going to hit exam, menu, about, and then you'll give them these three numbers. And that concludes the training on the Sonoscape S8 Expert Ultrasound Machine. Thank you for watching. This is where you're going to set up your DICOM and networking. This is not something we can support at Providian, because all this information is something that you would have through your IT professional. All this data is something you need. And what's important to note, and 90% of the problems that people call in with are because this IP address that's preset, it will not work on your network. You either need to go to DHCP, where the server will give it to you, or static IP, and only your office will know that. DICOM AE title is something that you will be given to by the person who runs the DICOM server. Again, modality 1 is not what will be. They may give you a MAC address, and if you want to ping the network, they'll give you an IP address that you'll type in that will look something like this. And when you hit ping, it'll tell you if it communicated with the server or not. There's also some advanced setting, but this is something that you probably won't see much, and it's just basically your network speed. And then your printer for the printers that you have installed. What do you want for the default printer? Click Apply to change any settings.